let's queer up LGBTQ plus civil rights. In queer American history, July 4th, 1965, the modern gay rights movement started at Independence Hall in Philadelphia. Philadelphia has a long history of fighting for LGBTQ civil rights. In fact, Philadelphia protests seeking equality for LGBTQ plus people predate the famed Stonewall riots. From 1965 to 1969, demonstrators picketed at Independence Hall on July 4th. The annual reminder protests pointed out that LGBTQ plus Americans did not have basic civil rights protections. The protests were among the earliest for LGBTQ plus rights in the United States. These were protests organized by LGBTQ plus activists Frank Kameny, Barbara Gittings, and others. Many see Barbara Gittings as the mother of the LGBTQ plus civil rights movement. The demonstrations were strategically held on Independence Day, July 4th, to draw attention to the lack of civil rights and equality for LGBTQ plus individuals. The activists picketed outside Independence Hall and the Liberty Bell, calling for an end to discrimination and advocating for the recognition of LGBTQ plus rights. The annual reminders were influential in raising awareness about LGBTQ plus issues and challenging societal norms surrounding homosexuality. Although the modern gay rights movement gained significant momentum after the Stonewall Uprising in 1969, the annual reminders played a crucial role in laying the groundwork for future activism and were part of the broader efforts to achieve equality for the LGBTQ plus community. Two of my very, very favorite historic sites that I visit every time I'm in Philly, the city of both brotherly and sisterly love. Yeah. There's the historical markers. There's the one in front of Independence Hall that actually cites the annual reminders marches. It's amazing. And then a few blocks away, at the corner of 21st and Locust, is a sign for Barbara Gittings. Oh. So it just makes me feel really good on there in the neighborhood.
That's great.
Yeah. I did not know this before reading the news story. Wow. And interesting, it took place 11 days before I was born. Oh. Yes, I'm aging myself. But I mean, it points to a much larger, you know, Stonewall is important, and it is, but there's just so much gay history prior to Stonewall. Well, you know, we're sitting at the Sunshine Cathedral, which I don't know if it still is or it's not, but you know, it was part of the Metropolitan Community Churches, which were started in 1968 by the Reverend Troy Perry, who got defrocked for being gay. Yeah. Let's go back 20 years, 25 years prior to that. You know, if you've seen the pink triangle that ACT UP used back in the day, that comes from the Nazi death camp. That's how they marked the gays in the Nazi death camps. That's right. And I remember sharing that fact at Hollywood Pride, and people didn't know that. And it's like,
yeah, it's a good point.
History is important.
There's also a little matter of the Walt Whitman Bridge in Philadelphia.
I was thinking about that, going back to the Walt. Yeah. I mean, the need for this is so critical because, I mean, and in a moment where they're trying to not just like, they're trying to erase our history. They're trying to erase us, right? And like more than ever, these stories need to be told, need to be commemorated. Also, Mark Stein wrote this fabulous book. He's a historian, he's a dear friend, who wrote The City of Sisterly and Brotherly Loves, that tells the significance of Philadelphia at being at the center of so many of these early debates, pre-Stonewall and certainly after Stonewall. But I cut you off, I think, and I didn't mean to.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that all of these historical stories are important for us to remember and talk about, despite which one happened first or last. I think it's really important to just remember and, you know, bring all of them to the surface and
I also didn't know. Like I also didn't know until I read about that at all.
What year was the Harvey Milk in San Francisco? When did that all?
There was 78.
Right after Anita Bryant.
Yeah.
And these are, I mean, like, these are the stories we know, even if we don't know them well. Sure. How many do we not even know yet?
Well, people talk about the
like, go to the archives.
It would have been great to learn this in school.
One thing I forgot to mention about the pink triangle, and this was something I didn't even know, but when they liberated the camps at the end of the gays were not liberated. There was a paragraph, there was something in the German Penal Code, paragraph 175. There's actually a documentary on it, and you know that they were not liberated with everybody else. And that I may die mad about that one.
I honestly didn't know much about the gay community during the Holocaust at all, and I have a fascination with the Holocaust. So I've never heard of a triangle. I'm definitely going to do my research about that. I'm very intrigued.
It's
The Men with the Pink Triangles, the Hegel book.
And there's a memoir even.
I know this is morbid, but I follow, I believe it's called the Auschwitz Memorial Museum on Twitter, and they're daily posting things, and round about June they start posting, maybe not necessarily June, but
For 5 months. It makes sense though.
It's out there.
It'd be great if they made a movie about gays during the Holocaust.
They actually, the movie is called Paragraph 175. I don't know if it's I don't know if it was a documentary or a movie, but it's out there.
Well, and there's Ben, about the gay couple.
That's right.
That is
I've never seen it, but
Is that about the
devastating.
Holocaust?
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's like one that focuses on like the Soviet like their attack.
That's right.
I guess I'll rephrase. I wish they would make an Oscar-worthy movie where people
Big
talked
production,
about it and it was really
got the attention.
Yeah,
Something
like The
modern.
Pianist, or you know, a movie that is
Schindler's
spoken
List,
about and remembered, and hopefully one day.
Here's the thing. We finally saw a genre movie win Best Picture. I think it's only a matter of time before a documentary wins Best Picture.
Yeah.
I mean, and then we should, like, I was thinking so much, Bob, of what you said, because it's so, in terms of the activists know the history often, and like often they do their best work when they know history. Like ACT UP used specifically the Pink Triangle because they were like, this is not unlike in Nazi Germany when the government was killing us, right? Like that is to make the parallel between the federal government not responding to HIV/AIDS. They were like, we understand this has happened before.
And this is why our organizations, we've got the Stonewall National Museum. I have a box of things from Gay Games 1994 that I actually need to take over. Now, maybe not, I guess it's the Stonewall Museum.
Yeah, Stonewall.
You know, but I mean, and, you know, both people mentioned, I know Barbara Gittings has been gone a while. I think David, you know,
Frank
we are,
Kameny,
you know, we've lost the activist to old age, and we lost a lot to AIDS too.
Right.
And, you know,
And the people
we really need to support these museums and archives that keep this alive, because, and then we got to get the youngins to, hey, this is why we're on you and why we're so concerned.
Yeah, why it's so
Get
important.
politicians out of the way first.
Yeah, really.
We are Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only live daily LGBTQ+ evening news show, brought to you from Happening Out Television Network. We operate in the same model of PBS and NPR, but for the LGBTQ+ community. We educate, inform, and entertain by supporting the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community, with more than 100,000 a week watching us on Roku, Apple Television, and other channels. To keep the story going, we accept donations with 100% transparency. Stay updated and live authentically with Queer News Tonight.